My name is Carlos Walker, and this is Forward Progress. And today I'm with Mr. Ed Hennings. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. It's an honor to be on with you, man.
Man, hey, it's an honor. If you will, so before we start, share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Um, I'm my name's Ed Hennings, as you said. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm from the Midwest, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about an hour and a half from Chicago, Chi-Town. Um, I'm an entrepreneur, man. I've been in this space for about 8 years. My first business was a barbershop and beauty salon. A couple months after that, I started a trucking business, wrote a couple of books, and I began to speak around my city and around my state, then around the country. But my latest endeavor has been the first African American owned work boot company in the country. So that's me in a nutshell. But before that, I spent 20 years in prison, from the age of 24 to 44. From 96 to 2016, man, I was in prison, man, and I was preparing for this moment right here one day.
Here we go. So we're gonna jump in the story. So here at Forward Progress, what we do, we go before prison, during prison, after prison.
Right.
So is or the best way I can put it, caterpillar to butterfly.
That's right.
So if you will, go back as early as you would like and share a little bit about who you were before you even went to prison.
Okay. I grew up in the urban community. I grew up in the hood. Not the worst hood, but not the best hood neither. But nonetheless, the hood, right? So I grew up there, playing on the playground every day, man. I was born in '72. I'm 52 years old.
Look good at
Okay,
52.
I'm on that playground, man, from 8 in the morning to 8 at night to them street lights come on, and some family member got to come and get me. I don't need to come home and eat or nothing. I'm on the playground, and that's how I did it every day as a youngster. But I made it through school. A lot of things was going on in the hood. We all know what goes on in the hood. We don't even have to talk about it like cutting on the news. I don't even have to watch the news. I know what's going on in the hood. I've been there all my life. So, it was that type of deal. Fellas over here shooting dice, fellas over here, banging, doing what they do, fellas over there drinking, but we playing ball. We might play football, we might play baseball, or we might do all three during the course of a day. We on the playground, but at the end of the day, man, I made it through school, made some good choices, some good decisions. I was raised by my grandparents, so they pretty much kept me on the straight and narrow, without me getting in too much trouble. During my day, dirt bikes was very popular. The Mongoose BMX bikes, the red lines, that, and they still popular in my hood. We still 50-year-old men looking at dirt bikes because that was the thing, man. So anyway, I think at one time we gonna call ourselves gonna steal some bikes or something like that, man. And it didn't work out well, man. I got in big trouble, and I was like, I don't think getting these bikes like this gonna be for me, man. I have to come up with a different hustle, And back then, we could take 10-cent bottles to the store, the Coke bottles, and get 10 cents. So that became my hustle, man. I would take them bottles, man. I would take about 20 bottles and give me $2. And man, them $2 was a lot of money back then, man. I'll be popping off up in the neighborhood, like, man, you need some potato chips. I got you, bro. Like I had big money. But anyway, graduated from high school in '90, man. I made it through. It wasn't easy. They always tell us, man, go to school, get good grades, and you'll be okay. I did that. But what I wasn't prepared for was from home to school, the things that you're going to encounter in that maze. From home to school and from school and back. Your boy might pull up in a Cadillac. You like, oh man, I got my book bag. He like, hop in. I'm like, oh no, man. I don't think I should hop in there. You know what I'm saying? But the next time he pull up, he might have a couple little cutie pies up in that Cadillac. You like, ooh. So, just being disciplined at a young age and trying to navigate through that maze when people think it's so easy to do that at a young age, like I told a guy what I drive now, and he said, Ed, you're doing a great job, Ed. It don't matter what you drive. I said, yes, it does. To the 18-year-old Ed, what you drive meant everything. So don't let this miss you when you start talking about what it's going to take to navigate your way through the urban community. And with my granddad home, he was able to keep me there because I trusted in his leadership. And he passed away my senior year of high school. So all of those times I'm telling you, like Cuba Gooding Jr. on Boys in the Hood, he said, let me out though. I'm not going on this move. I was able to do that up until the point when my granddad passed. And man, I just couldn't hold it together.
So granddaddy was more like a pillar, or
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the right words for it. He was your guidance to keep you from making certain decisions because you respected his stance.
Yes, sir.
And as soon as he left, it felt like, hey, the reins was off.
Yeah.
Look, you take the reins off of a horse, they get to run everywhere it wants.
Man, I felt like being that, I had my mom there, my grandmom there, my pops. They was all involved in my life, but it just didn't have that same that granddaddy had. Yeah, it didn't captivate me the same way, right? It didn't encompass me. So what I did was I started feeling like I had to take over.
Okay.
Granddad gone, I gotta be the man around here. Everybody else around me is doing this and that and whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. I got this. So, man, I got accepted in a school out in Phoenix, Arizona for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Okay.
So here it is. This is supposed to be a time in my life when I had an opportunity to make it out of the hood. And I kind of seen it as that, but in some ways I didn't. I didn't grasp the opportunity that I really had in its fullest state. It was like, all right, I got to go to school, but I don't really want to go because daddy ain't here. I need to be here to protect mama. I need to be here to do this. I need to be here to do that. I don't trust nobody to do it the way I'm going to do it. So I had made this stuff up in my head that the family needed me. You know what I mean? You know how we do up in the hood, man. It ain't going to go down the way it's supposed to go down if I ain't here to do it. So, that's that youthful ignorance, right? So I went to school and I found myself calling back home all the time, man. Just calling the fellas in the hood, like, what y'all doing, man? They in the streets, they getting that fast money. And they just like, man, I just bought me a Cutlass. I put some rims on it. I got this music, man. You listen to my system, and I'm all the way in Phoenix, a student. I ain't got no money, man. I'm looking like, man, this is getting old. This ain't gonna work. And my granddaddy wasn't there to say, you're on the right path. Just stick with it. But it wasn't there. So I was just getting closer and closer to saying, forget this, man. I got to go home. But I called the homies again. I had about 3 months left before I graduated, about 3 months. I called the homies this day, man, and the homies just telling me everything I was missing. Oh, man, he just bought a Cadillac. He just bought this car. He just got this. We just hung out with these young ladies. Man, we had a good time. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? So I called my moms up. I said, Moms, I need to take a break from school. And she, I was doing really well in school. School has never been really hard for me. I could do some school work. And I said, I need some money for a plane ticket. And I'm going to come back home for about a month or two. And I'm going to go back to school. I'm just going to take a break before graduation. I got 3 months, Once again, I think I'm smart. My mom sent me about $375 for a plane ticket. Back in 1990, 91, you could buy a Greyhound bus ticket for $99.99 and go anywhere in the United States, as long as you buy it 2 weeks in advance. I bought a bus ticket for $99.99. I put that other $275 in my pocket because I had on my mind I'm going to come back and get with the homies, and I'm going to get in this gang and get me some fast money and then go back to school. Buy me a car, give me some money, then I'm going to go back and finish school. Once again, youthful ignorance, rookie mistake. Didn't understand what I was really fully finna get myself into. So I came back home. My boy picked me up from the bus station. My mom and them didn't even know I was coming, man. So I stood in front of the house. She came back. She had went grocery shopping. When she pulled up, I came walking off the porch. She just grabbed me and hugged me. You know, it's a happy time, but didn't know what I had on my heart and on my mind. I had a number of foolishness on my heart and my mind, man. She didn't know. And man, I had got me some work, got out on the block, and the worst thing ever happened, man. I was an overnight success because I've been around this all my life. My family, my friends, even growing up, man, I told them they didn't know what they was doing. And they was doing it before me. But I just knew they weren't doing it with any type of intelligence, any type of smarts. So once I got in, I already had a plan. I've been around it my whole life. I just knew I was going to be good at it. Like, I'm going to get this money. Ain't nothing telling me I ain't going to get no money. And it happened. I got that money, and it had me. It had me. And when it was time for me to go back to school, I'm pulling up in my car. I got a pocket full of money. I'm hanging out at the parties. I just took on the whole drug dealer persona. I'm in the streets knee deep. And when it was time for me to go back, man, and one thing that when I talk to the kids, I tell them this. It wasn't the material things. It wasn't the parties and all of the fun that really I couldn't break away from. I could do that. But what I couldn't break away from was my freedom. Getting that fast money gave me a freedom that I never had in my life. I didn't have to ask anybody for nothing. And that's a freedom that's very intoxicating. When you don't have to ask mama, you don't have to ask daddy, you don't have to ask no girl. You got your own. That's freedom.
That's freedom.
And it was so hard for me to let that go. I was like, oh man, go back to asking you for money, Ma? Go back to needing things that I don't need anybody. Matter of fact, I can go in my pocket and give you some money. Very addictive. Being that I was a rookie and I didn't know this, that it's easy to get in these games and get in this life. But boy, I'm telling you, it's hard to get out. And that's even without prison. That's even without going to funerals. That's even without you waking up one day with in the hospital on the bed with an IV in your arm. These people still can't quit. I done seen people get shot up, and the next day they walking down the street with the IV pole in their arms starting to hustle, trying to get back to the money because it's just that addictive. And a rookie, me being a rookie at 18, 19 years old, nobody warned me like, bro, if you do this, I need you to know that ain't no getting out. It's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out. They was like, oh man, you finna get in the game? Come on, get some of this money. I know you was probably gonna come get some of this money. That's how it sounds. That was the sounds that was coming into my mind when I was getting into it. That was the chatter. Oh, Ed finna get some of this money. Ed, we knew you wasn't gonna be able to hold out. And then finally I did it, and I didn't know how hard it was gonna be to walk away from this life. And it took me all of it. That was 19. I went to prison at 24. So those 5 or 6 years that I ran the streets, man, I got worse and worse and worse and worse. I started out as this guy from the hood that didn't want no part of that life. By the time I went to prison, I took on the whole persona. I didn't want nobody looking at me wrong. Everybody was a threat. I'm paranoid. Who the police? Who trying to stick me up? I done took on the whole mentality because that's how it eats away at you. It erodes you. It gets you paranoid. It gets you walking down the street with your hand in your pocket, looking at who is that driving? Who is that car? You living your life every day like that, there's no way that you're going to survive that. Stress kills.
Stress kills.
And you stressed.
I'm assuming, well, I don't want to assume. We're going to move past 1924. We're at 24, things about to go down. What happened?
Man, and this is one very important thing I want people to hear is about the go-to guy. Um, Once you start hustling and you making that fast money, so many of us become the go-to guy in your family. Remember, when I went to school, I already felt like my family needed me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got some money in my pocket.
They
I'm
need you.
really gonna take care of everybody. I'm taking care of my friends, my family. I'm moving and grooving, so I'm making sure everybody's straight. And that felt good to be the go-to guy.
Mhm.
So now I let people know that either you the go-to guy or you got the go-to guy's number.
Yes.
You know who, when you need a car, when you need a ride, when you need an extra $100, you know the call.
Mm-hmm.
You know you got some beef. There's some drama in the hood. You know who number you. I'm finna call. You finna go down out here. You know, we all know that lingo. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I became the go-to guy amongst my circle of family and friends. So June 11, 1996, a family member of mine, he had some drama, had some beef with some guys in the neighborhood, man. And he came and got me. And I went to squash the beef. I've done this a million times. I've done this from the age of 5 all the way up to 24. Whenever there was some beef, it wasn't nothing to squash a neighborhood beef. It wasn't about no money. It wasn't about nobody did no harm to nobody. So these type of beefs happen every day.
Mm-hmm.
This is a common occurrence. Like, oh man, let me go squash this beef. Got around the corner from the house, and for some reason, this just wasn't a beef that wasn't gonna go down or go away that easy. And make a long story short, man, I was there maybe 5 minutes, not even that long, and seemed like I was squashing the beef and getting the beef under control. But 3 other guys showed up as I was getting the beef under control, and one guy, he got nose to nose with my uncle, and they were just jawing back and forth. You could see spit coming out of their mouth, and these guys is nose to nose. And just to give you a visual, this 1996. This is not the slim fit clothes that we wear today.
No, it's the baggy.
This is the baggy. This is the Carl Kanai. This is
Yeah.
cross colors. This is the 4X t-shirts with pants that could fit 2 of me in it, and
Literally.
stuff like that, right? So the man that was in front of my relative, I seen his hand go up under his shirt, and I pushed my uncle out of the way, man, and I shot twice. And
Mm-hmm.
just contrary to what you see on TV and on the news, it ain't all this blood everywhere. It's not, people falling all on the ground. I shot twice, didn't know the young man was shot. He took off running. It was maybe me and my uncle and about 15 of them guys out in front of the corner where they hung out at. And I seen just total chaos. I kept shooting because I seen so many people running out. And man, nobody else got hit, fortunately. But the first 2 shots did hit the guy. He ran around the corner as I was chasing people away. He ran around the corner and he passed away later on that night, man. And I was picked up. And mind you, I didn't know that he was even hit. But I was picked up, taken downtown to the police station, interrogated. Still didn't know anybody was hit. Didn't know anybody had passed away. And I was put in that holding cell. And I think it was about 1 a.m. I woke up to hear some papers being slid under my door. And when I got up to grab the papers, man, it read first degree intentional homicide, mandatory life sentence. And right then, I think my legs went numb. I couldn't feel, I just thought back to the day I walked out of that school and thought I was going to make a fast buck and go back to school a couple months later. And it didn't work out that way, man. It was something that just took control of my life, took over my life, and I just couldn't shake it. And it ended up like that, man, where I was sitting there facing the rest of my life in prison.
Okay. So we're gonna shift just a little bit. You in court.
Yes.
You're facing a life sentence.
Yes.
The judge gives you how much time?
Okay, I went to a jury trial, and the
So you
jury found me guilty of a lesser offense.
okay.
So I got found guilty of a lesser offense. And the lesser offense was, in some states, it's called manslaughter. In this
Mm-hmm.
state, it's called reckless homicide.
Okay.
And I went to my sentencing, and the judge maxed me out. He gave me all 40 years. He carried a maximum sentence of 40 years, and he gave me 40 years.
Because normally, when I know in most states, whenever you take a jury trial, you can't go under. You got to hand down the maximum sentence.
Yeah,
I don't.
he could have gave me 20. A lot of guys got 20, but he gave me 40 because
Okay.
I was a first time offender, and I didn't have a lot of a juvenile record and all of that stuff. So he felt like that when I go see parole would take a look at that and consider me a candidate for parole because I didn't have a long history of crime and stuff like that. So I got into prison, and when I seen parole, I found out that parole wasn't trying to hear none of that.
Mm.
Parole wasn't trying to hear none of that, man. And one very important thing I want to say is when I was sitting in my holding cell, because this was the catalyst for everything that people see me doing today. When I was sitting in a holding cell waiting for the verdict, was I going to spend the rest of my life in prison, or was I going to get an opportunity to see the free world again? And while I was waiting, sitting in that holding cell, man, I was pacing back and forth. I was praying to God. I was making these promises to my kids, to my family, just me in this holding cell by myself. And man, I said if I got a second chance, I wouldn't need a third. I promised the man upstairs that if I get that second chance, that I'm gonna give it everything in my soul. I'm gonna make something out of myself, or I'm gonna die trying. I'm not gonna not give everything in me. And when they found me guilty of that lesser offense, I knew that was the man upstairs saying, you know what? I'm gonna give you that second chance. Is you ain't going home today.
But you're
You're
going
not gonna
home.
pay the price for what you did because somebody lost their life. So you gotta pay the cost. You gotta man up and own that. But also, I'm gonna give you that opportunity that you said you was gonna give it everything in your soul. And from that day forward, man, I've been living life giving it everything in me. When people meet me and talk to me, I say, this is how I'm going out. This the promise. I signed that contract that day. So if you, whether it was playing basketball in prison, whether it was speaking to the youth coming into the prison, everybody knows Ed is gonna give it everything in his soul.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. So when they do give you time, because I like to deal with the psychological part of this. What was the emotions? What was going on inside you? If you can remember back.
When you talking about when they gave me my time,
Yes. What did you feel? What was your thoughts? What were
when
you
they
at? I
gave me
know.
my time, I was a man on a mission.
Okay.
I
That's
was
all
the
that.
man that had made a promise to the
Right
higher
before this,
powers
yeah.
that I was gonna give it everything I got.
Okay.
And I had 40 years, and I went into the prison 147 pounds soaking wet. But I was that little dude that walked through that door saying, man, I'm changing my life. I'm going to do this time. I'm going to make something out of myself if it kill me. And it was guys that been in there for 10, 15 years pumping that iron, and they was banging, and they, little dude, you better stop talking that stuff and this. Now I said, man, you going to have to do what you going to have to do because I'm giving this everything in me. You just going to have to take me out. And before long, them same men, them same big bone crushers, them bangers, they was knocking at Ed's door. Saying, man, Ed, let's talk. I need to talk to you. Because when I walked in there, I seen the physically imposing man.
Mm-hmm.
But underneath that, it was a broken man.
Yes.
It was a broken man that didn't believe that he could do anything else but beat people up. He could do anything else but lead these other group of broken men. And I said, man, we better than this. We not animals. We done made some decisions and choices that we don't really respect and like coming from ourselves, but we could turn this thing around. And I said, you know what? Watch me do it. Everybody was saying, man, I've been to jail 4 times. Ain't nobody changing like that. You know, everybody was just so down and negative. And I said, yo, I realized my purpose. I realized right then why I was in prison was not only because of the decisions and choices I made while I was on the street, but it was because God needed me right there. He needed me there to make that light in a dark place.
To be the change that somebody else needs to see, but also
They needed to see it.
to help be a mentor to people, to let them know that you can change in the
Without
midst of this situation.
without a doubt, 100%. That's what it was. And when I walked out of there, I knew what I had to do because they were still saying, yeah, we're going to see what you're going to do now. All that talk you've been doing while you was here. I said, man, you just don't know. You just don't understand. But now, they understand now. They understand.
Tell me a little bit about, we're going to stay in this segment before because we
Okay.
know we're going to get to this part. But
Okay.
tell me a little bit about some of the interactions, some of the wisdom you got to share with some of the brothers, some of those hardened men that didn't believe they could change. Share with me how you helped them change.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like not only was you a mentor, but you may have started a program.
Yeah.
Or just being in the midst of them. That was the program.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, man, I tell people even to this day, man, I come from the school of Harriet Tubman. I don't negotiate with no man. I don't negotiate with no kid, no woman about greatness. I'm not negotiating your greatness.
You
Either
gonna
we
get
gonna
to
get it or we gonna get gone. We not playing with this. Like so many people, oh, I talk to them. No, I'm not talking to you.
I'm telling you what it
I'm
is.
telling you. So here I was, this little guy. I was like I tell you, I was 147 pounds when I walked into the penitentiary. And these big guys, and I said, man, I'm not scared of you, big dog. You gonna get your together. Man, I'll do this. You're gonna have to do what you're gonna have to do. Because I'm not scared of that. You think you're the only one from the hood? I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of you. But what I am telling you is we gonna get our stuff together. And that's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear that. Like, if I'm sitting at the table and the guys telling them war stories, man, I caught dudes slipping and we was here. Man, I'm out of here. I don't want to hear that. I know that story. I lived it. What is you talking about? Are you just telling me it's some different names? It's the same story. You're not telling me nothing new. That's for people that don't know this life. All I'm telling you is we finna change. We finna leave that in the past. We finna make some changes. Oh, man. All right, man, whatever you say. Whatever you say. Yeah, everybody didn't love me. Everybody didn't love me for being positive. But, hey, that's whatever. Even now, it's people that come on and say, hey, yo, what's this? Well, all right, well, that comes with the territory. I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of that at all. I don't need everybody to love me. But what I need you to do is fulfill that promise in your life.
Come on, man.
I'm not scared to tell you. I'm not scared. Man, look, man, you're going to end up back in the penitentiary, man. What's wrong with you? You know, and that's how I be. Even with my own kids. They hate to see me coming. This fool been gone 20 years. He come home talking crazy. Like, man, I ain't scared of you. Oh, you scared? They think they more street than me. And they ain't never been to the penitentiary. Oh, boy, you better get off the internet.
It ain't about being street, it's about being smart.
Yeah. But that's how the youth think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you old. You old. I tell them this. Fire was hot in 1824.
And it's still hot.
It's still hot in 2024. Fire is still hot. Touch it. Touch it. But
I might have to use that one. I got to use that one.
But the thing about it, man, is this. I made a promise that I was dedicating my life to it. So when people come to me and they say, I'm going to do what you're going to do, I'm going to make it happen, what have you dedicated your life to? I'm talking about, I listen to Floyd Mayweather say, I dedicated my life to the sport of boxing. Dedicated. I watched, and read a lot of documentaries about Dr. King. He dedicated his life to making this world better. He knew they was gonna take him out. But he dedicated. But I'm dedicated. Hey, come with it. I'm dedicated.
Christ dedicated his life to.
Christ dedicated his life. I know they coming. And that's me. I've dedicated my life to this. And this how I look. And that's how I was in penitentiary. We played basketball. Man, can't nobody beat Ed. You know why you can't beat Ed? It ain't because you ain't talented. It ain't because you ain't good at basketball.
You
You
wasn't
just ain't
dedicated.
dedicated.
That's Kobe.
That's Kobe.
Kobe, look.
That's Kobe.
I like to say Kobe, he idolized, I'm only using idolize because he mimicked Jordan's moves.
Yeah.
But he became better.
Yeah.
Because he also added his own spin. He
That's
dedicated.
Right.
Them people
That's
said,
right.
hey, at 5 o'clock in the morning, he was at practice while everybody else still sleep.
That's right.
When they was going out, he was at practice because he dedicated it. That's
right.
what I'm hearing when I hear you say what you're saying.
That's them, all the people that I studied while I was in there for those 20 years. I studied the greats. I studied the greats in every space, and I just studied the warriors of the past, the entertainers of the past, James Brown, Michael Jackson. It all came down to the work ethic.
Dedication.
They outworked everybody in their space. And I said, that's the key. I never been lazy, but I just didn't understand it. But now I got an understanding. Muhammad Ali said, I don't even count my reps when I work out. I don't start counting till they hurt, because them the only ones that count. Them ones you pumping while you fresh, them don't count. When you feel that pain, them the ones that count. And I took all of that information. I posted it on my walls. I put it everywhere I could. So I fed myself. I call it my diet. That's all I consume.
This is where your real food go in.
This is where your food,
your mouth.
It's not just in your mouth, it's in your eyes, your nose, your ears. How you taking it in? And that's all I take in. I don't take in no negativity. There's no negativity that comes on my plate.
I tell people this way. Not that it ain't there. You understand that.
Yeah.
But there's two sides to a coin.
That's right.
There's heads, there's tails. That's right. And what I can't do, I can't see both at the same time.
Talk to me.
What I do know, I know both exist, but what I choose to focus on is my heads. I choose to say, you know what? The positivity outranges everything.
That's right.
Because if I look at the tails, negativity is going to outrange everything that's positive. It's right. What you choose to look at. Not that I don't know that heads and tails exist.
That's right.
But because I know that, as the Bible says, all things work together for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. You got purpose.
That's right.
And you've been living in purpose technically your whole life. But when you decided to make the choice and say, you know what? I'm going to do everything and make sure that I become what you want me to become. That's what happened. From the day that you walked around in that holding cell, and you gave it to God, that's when you messed around and tapped into a source that was more powerful than you could ever imagine. And you made change in men sitting in prison.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what it's been for me for 28 years, is that 20 in there of just constant feeding myself. Ed, you can do it. Ed, you can do it. Ed, you can't be stopped. Ed, you can't be stopped. I'm talking about just feeding myself. I watch movies like I watched Ali. I watched John Q. That was one of my favorite movies that came on in there. Was John Q. Denzel Washington needed a heart for his son. He wasn't leaving that hospital until he got that heart. And that was determination, and that was focus. And as long as you feeding yourself that, you ain't gonna know nothing else.
You're gonna reap the reward.
You're gonna reap the rewards. Stop looking at the negativity. Stop watching that. Stop feeding that to your brain. Because you're gonna become
whatever you put. Come on,
whatever beast you feed gonna get stronger. Stop feeding that beast.
Come on, man.
They sitting on both shoulders. I'm starving this one.
Man, look, he gonna die.
I starved him out.
Huh? This one's gonna win because I'm feeding him.
I'm feeding this positive beast. I'm feeding him. I'm not feeding him just stuff. So I'm feeding him, Ed, that's a brick wall right there. You know that anger that you got in you?
Feed it
Handle
down.
that anger towards that brick wall. I ain't telling you to be no pushover and no slouch. No, the things we got to handle in this world, you're going to need some beast in there. You're going to need some dog. I ain't telling you to be all lamb and no lion. I'm telling the guys, stay beastie. But take that beastie, take that mentality, that street thing, and just put it over here. Don't let that go. Oh, no, I ain't telling you to turn soft.
It was part of you for a reason.
That's right. I'm telling you that anger, look at them obstacles in front of your goals with that same anger as you looked at that man that disrespected you. Oh, that man disrespected me. I'm going to tear his head off.
The wall disrespect you. Tear his head, tear the wall down.
Tear that wall down. Tear that wall down the same way you're going to tear my head off for disrespecting you. That wall they put up in front of you, tear that mug down and get to the goals that you want in life. That's all. Don't keep being beastie.
So we're going to move again. The day that you're coming out.
Yeah.
Or they gave you parole, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After how many times? First time or?
Man, I seen the first parole board in 10 years. It took me 10 years of seeing them. I seen them about 8 more times. And then I finally got released.
And you wasn't even getting in trouble or anything.
No. I wasn't with none of that. I'm gonna share this, and I'll share this with a lot of people. I participated in a lot of programs of trying to help the youth because, like I said, I was walking in purpose. And this one prison guard, I was in that prison for 10 years, how they move you around. I was in that prison so long that I was there about 11 years, but when they got ready to pack me up to go to minimum security, the guard called me out in the hallway, man, and he cried. He cried. Because, like you say, when you're walking in purpose, that's the type of impact you're going to make, man. This is a guard that's job is to keep me in there, keep me safe and from doing stupid stuff.
And you touched it.
He called me out in that hallway, man. He looked around. And that man's shoulders went to jumping. His head went down like this. And I was like, oh, my goodness. I was like, hey, I feel for you, bro. But I got to
go. That's what impact does.
Very much. Very impactful. Very impactful.
When I know what you felt with inside, just knowing that God has put that much impact in me.
Yeah.
To impact somebody who.
Yeah. Because it wasn't me at all.
Yeah, don't even supposed to have no feeling towards me other than I'm just an inmate.
That's right.
But you attached it.
Yeah.
So they finally give you parole.
Yes, sir.
What's the emotions? What's the psychological things that's going through your mind?
Man, it's so simple, man. Once again, my mom and dad came pick me up. I jumped in that van, man. I had got a job at a barbershop because I got my barber license while I was in prison.
Putting their work in.
The year before I got out completely, I had a halfway house, a work release job. So I got a job at a barbershop a year before I got out all the way.
Okay.
So I would go to the barbershop, cut hair, and go back to the prison. So when I finally got all the way out, I still had that barber job.
Mm.
So my mom and dad came and picked me up. And it's like, what you about to do? I said, I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work. Because my mindset is this. Most of these people I haven't seen in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I rushing to go hang out with and party with and have? I ain't seen y'all in 20 years. I don't know what y'all doing. Believe me, ain't nobody's coming to see me. You know, my mom and dad, every once in a while, my mom and dad came to see me pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. But as far as cousins and friends,
every now, if any.
Right. So I don't have no animosity, but I don't have no connection neither.
Mm-hmm.
I still love y'all. But guess what? Life gonna go on.
There's a mission.
I'm on a mission. And guess what? I ain't got no obligations because ain't nobody been sending me nothing to say, well, I took care of you. Don't tell the fellas, make sure the fellas know when they go in there. Ain't nobody coming to see you. None of the fellas sending you no money, man. That if you're lucky, that might happen. Very few cases. But in my case, that didn't happen. And I'm gonna tell you this, is that I came home and it was freedom. It was freedom. This is something I tell people. When I went to prison June 11, 1996, that's when my body went to prison.
Come on now.
But I was already locked up. I was already in prison when I decided to walk out that school and get in the street game with both feet. I was locked up. I had gave up. My self-esteem was gone. My belief in myself was gone. All of that stuff was gone. I hid around behind material things just like everybody else. Because if I believed in myself truly, I wouldn't make that decision. I didn't have the discipline that I needed to see my goals through. So when I got out, October 18th, 2016, that's when my body got out.
Come on.
I was
but your mind was already out.
I was already free. So that fence, that barbed wire, them armed guards up in them towers, check this out. They was up there in them towers. That barbed wire was there to keep me in. But check out, turn that coin over you talked about earlier.
Come on.
The other side of that coin, them armed guards and that barbed wire was there to keep your tail away from me.
Come on now.
That was to protect me and keep me away from the negative voices that was in my ear before I went in. So I looked at it on both sides like, oh, that's keeping me in, but it's keeping that foolishness away as well.
It's removing distractions so then you could become the Ed Hennons that you are today.
Talk to me.
This is how God allows, once again, you irritated the system. You was that piece of sand that went into that clam.
Yes, sir.
That irritated the hell out the system. And
yes,
while we look at it as the salvating of the clam is spit.
Right.
What it's doing is molding you.
That's right.
You were being molded, shaped for a time like this. Because here we go. Over the last 8 years, you can start at the barbershop job, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna run into it.
All right.
And we're gonna talk about it.
All right. Started at the barbershop, man. I was gone 20 years, so my first 3 months at the shop, I'm fully out, and I'm seeing these young ladies in this shop. Lady walk in with hair short as mine, and she walk out with hair down her back, makeup on, looking like she from Hollywood somewhere. And I'm like, I go to the stylist in the back of the shop, and I say, what are y'all doing to these ladies? You know, I've been gone. So they said, well, we put bundles. We got bundles. We put weave in their hair. And I'm like, weave? What the hell is that? So they pulling out. They educate me on weave. So, you know me, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, okay. I done saved up. Now, mind you, I'm making $7.25 an hour. I'm not even getting paid by the cut. I'm not getting paid by the cut until I get all the way home. This is why I'm on work release.
That's for the year.
Yeah, that's that first year I was making $7.25. So I wasn't even getting no major money, but I saved up $7,500.
I was about to say, you ain't got to pay no rent anyway.
That's right. I had to pay rent at the work release.
Oh.
They took a portion of my $7.25 to pay for my room and board at the work release prison.
You can't really blow it like that anyway, because you in here. All right, go ahead.
So I saved $7,500. So I got out with that all the way. When I got all the way out, I had $7,500. So when they told me about the weed gang, I got out October. That December, I went to the owner of the shop, and I said, hey, man, I want to sell that hair. He's like, looked at me, you know, like a little smirk, like, I don't sell it. Go ahead. Man, I talked to the stylist in the back, man. Me and her started talking every day. I took $5,500 of my $7,500 and bought some hair weave.
Hustler.
I was studying for those 3 months. I was studying. I was like, man, I'm going to sell this. And man, I got that hair weave. I went into the clubs and set up my table. I told the owners of the club, man, I've been gone 20 years. I'm going to sell hair weave. Everybody thought I was a joke. They laughed at me. They said, look at this fool.
Made money.
Look, it didn't even take me a year, but I'm going to say a year later. I wheeled some of my own barber and beauty salon chairs into the shop because I asked the owner, could I store my chairs in there until my building got ready. And all them barbers in there that laughed at me, they was like, them your chairs? I said, yeah, these my chairs. They said, you got your own shop? I said, yeah. They was like, man, you've been selling that hair weave left and right. But I said, but first it was a joke. I said, but they didn't know that promise. They didn't know that contract I had signed when I was waiting on that verdict, that I was going to give it everything in my soul.
Everything.
So you was looking at the hair. You weren't looking at the man.
Or the vision.
Or the vision. So there we go. I got my own shop, and I'm selling the hair out of my shop, and I'm cutting. I got some stylists in there. My family proud of me. It's just a whole new day, man. Everything is going great. And then this guy sat in my chair, man, one of my clients, and he said he had bought a truck. He said, man, I bought a truck, man, and I was driving my truck last night. I made about $500 last night. I was like, in a truck, you made $500? Man, there I go. Like, hey, man, I got to get me a truck. Save my money up when he got me a truck. He came to get a haircut. I said, man, you see that truck out there? That's mine. So I'm going to start rolling that baby. Start rolling that truck, man. Started in the trucking business. I would deliver furniture every day from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Then I go in the barbershop from 6 in the evening to 11 at night, 7 days a week. Every day, grinding. Like, well, man, you gonna do? My mama was calling me tomorrow. You need to take some time off. No, I had 20 years off.
Got a mission.
I'm on this grind every day. Next, you know, I got another truck and another truck. Now I'm giving people jobs. I'm going around hiring people that you did some time. Man, you need a job? I got you. You need a job? Man, people in my community, in my city just was like, this guy is hiring people now. So it just caught like wildfire in Milwaukee, man. And after that, man, I wrote a couple of books because people was asking me, how are you doing this? You know, how are you getting this done? So due to those questions, I wrote a book called The Answers.
Okay.
And it's the answers to the questions of how did you do it? And it has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with all of the things that people will assume.
It's the principles that you learn along
it's
the way.
It's the inner work, the work you do on the inside. It's like being in prison and somebody saying, man, here go your workout, putting it on a piece of paper and telling you everything you need to do to get your body right.
And you got to do it every day.
But guess what? You ain't the person that can execute what's on that paper. Because people give you workouts every day. They give you information, but you can't execute the information. So what you have to do is work on you. So when you get information or opportunity, you can execute it.
Apply.
You can apply it. And that's what we're dealing with is people, not a lack of information, not a lack of knowledge.
Application.
We lacking in application and execution. Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, because you can't get up every day and punch that clock. You can't be disciplined enough to take out of the $800 you made this week, you ain't disciplined enough to put $500 to the side and live below your means so you can come up. You undisciplined, you keeping up with the Joneses. So therefore, we need to work on you. It ain't the information we need to work on. It's you we need to work on. So I put that in the book, like this what you got to do. I started out setting my alarm clock at 9 o'clock. Then I pushed it to 8, pushed it to 7, pushed it to 6. Now I get up at 4 without an alarm clock because I'm working on me.
You pushed yourself.
I'm pushing myself. And everything that come my way, I'm pushing myself. I'm pushing. Instead of running from these challenges,
you challenging yourself.
I'm running to them.
Yes.
I'm running away from them. I'm saying, ooh, that's a challenge. And what you looking at is you can't do it, or why you ain't getting it fast. It might not come fast, but I'm going to get it because I'm going to keep pushing.
You're going to be dedicated to get to what you're going to. Because I can't receive what God wants from me unless I change. Because I have to be able to have the capacity to be able to receive everything God wants from me.
Check this out. Check this out. I can see. I got my ears. I'm not deaf. I can use my hands. I got my legs, my feet. I'm blessed.
What else do you need?
You got all the tools. You just
Mm,
ain't using them. You got a
mm.
sound mind, and you gonna tell me, well, I'm gonna pray for something else. God gave you everything you need. I
And
got
then again,
friends that's missing limbs, that's missing body parts,
they
organs,
still blessed.
and
But
they depressed, and they making it happen depressed. They making it happen with one arm. They making it happen with one eye. And here you go with all of that and say you can't make it happen. I told you I don't negotiate this.
there's one more thing that God gave you, a mind. And when you look, everything else is fine.
That's
But
right.
with this thing right here,
That's right.
this is the to me is the biggest thing that God gives people.
That's right.
It says there's a few verses that talks about the mind. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
So it's
But
you
you have to think. You are
got to
created
think.
in the image of God, and when you think about God, God number one was a thinker. He
That's right.
thought and then spoke. It doesn't say he thought,
Right.
but I can promise you, if we doing it and we're created in His image, we think, then we speak or move.
That's right.
And this is how things come into fruition. He's given you the mind, all the tools, as you said. You got every tool.
That's
Are
right.
you utilizing it to get what you're supposed to have?
Yeah, your destiny. You got a destiny to fulfill. And if you're not, that's your number one priority in life is to
Mhm.
fulfill your destiny. Everything else is a distraction. You trying
Everything.
to distract me from my destiny? I got to stay focused.
Good God.
So you need to help me stay focused or you need to be gone.
Mm.
Why are you distracting me from my destiny? You want to talk to me about what's going on Facebook, what's going on the Housewives. You distracting me from my destiny. You haven't said anything that's going to push me closer to that destiny.
How can I help you get there? And
Right.
that's normally, as you just said, you challenge yourself. That's what your book about. The other book, what is it about?
The second book is called The Comeback. I
Okay.
read so many stories while I was in prison about people that overcame the odds. And that
Mm.
was very important for me because I knew what I had in front of me. So I needed to see examples. I need to see examples of people that was Nelson Mandela. I did something
28 years.
and he didn't do nothing.
Mm.
Got out, became president. I needed to see that.
Come
I
back.
needed to see that. So I took that and I made it my own. I said, see, this is how my story got to end.
Good
My
God.
story got to end like this. Because I
You
seen my
start.
mama and my grandmama in that courtroom
Come on.
hurt.
Come on.
And I ain't never forgot it.
Mm.
This is how my story got to end. My story got to end with them people smiling because I made them proud.
You recognize you as the main character of your story. And
Got
anytime
you.
I read a book or watch a movie, I expect the main character to win.
That's
I
right.
don't look for the main character to
Talk
lose.
to me. I like
And
that.
for
Love
me,
it.
I look
Love
at
it.
myself as this way. I got to expect the main character to win. I
Right.
cannot lose.
That's right.
God didn't put me as the main character to lose.
That's
Look,
right.
no matter what setbacks, just
That's,
like you,
yeah.
20 years sitting in prison. Most people would think you're going to come home institutionalized,
Yeah.
lost, mad.
Yeah.
No, you came home with a purpose and a vision and the means to go after what it is God shared with you that you was going to do. And
Without
you
a
still doing it. Talk about the boot.
man. And the comeback, I took a bunch of people. I know a young lady I went to high school with. She had cancer. She overcame it. Put her in the book. A
Mm.
guy I met in prison. He went in at 15, came home successful. Put his story in the book. So it's a bunch of people, domestic violence, people from a lot of spaces that needed their stories to be told, that made that comeback. Because each and every one of us got to come back in us.
I promise you.
Each and every one of us got to come back in us. And that's what I was pushing at that time was the comeback. Whatever's going on in your life, man, you can come back from it. I'm a living proof that you can do it. So I titled the book The Comeback, put a compilation of other authors and their stories in there, their comebacks. And man, that thing hit the streets. Yes, sir.
Share about the boot too.
Yeah, man. And like I said, this is my swan song right here, man. I was talking to somebody and they was talking to me about my next business.
No.
Hung up the phone and
You
jump back in
good?
there, man.
You said swan song.
Yeah, man. This right here is my swan song, man. I would say I was having a conversation about my next business endeavor, which I was gonna get into because trucking, I was like, no, trucking is gonna be the thing. And we start talking about shoes. And in my space here in Milwaukee, man, I'm known for my grind. I'm known for the work that I do. So I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm all about the grind. So I combined the idea of shoes with my grind. I said work boots.
Mm.
Well, I wear them every day on the truck. So let me research this thing. I researched work boots. First of all, I didn't see any people of color.
Mm.
And I said, oh, there we go. Second of all, I had some conversation with some people that wear work boots as well, from the ladies to, people of color. And they were saying, man, work boots is fine, but it ain't nothing out there that really we
They
would
don't look
wear.
good. They don't look good.
And I said, there I go. And I said, there go my space right there. And I started working on it, man, for 2 years now. I've been building the work boot business. Sales been getting better and better, getting more eyeballs on what I'm doing. Being the only person in this space, man, it's blazing a trail. And you can't go on the elevator when you blazing the trail. You gotta take the stairs, man. So when I decided to go this route, I knew, you got the legend brands that's out there that people are dedicated to and they committed to. But one thing about it, man, I know my visibility in the community, trying to help with the youth, trying to help with returning citizens and stuff like that. That's a space that no other work boot company is doing.
Mm-hmm.
No other work boot company. They've been in the game 100 years and they legends in it and they riding that wave. And now it's just somebody like myself that can come and light a fire under some other brands that's out there, man, and they see what we doing over here and what I stand for.
I commend you, man. I want you to send me like a commercial or something. I'm gonna make sure I post it every chance I possibly can.
Okay,
Uh,
sir.
because I appreciate what you're doing. One, I want you to know I appreciate who you are, the road you decide to travel, and the mentality that you chose to take on when you said, "Hey, there's no other route. I'm going straight, and this is what I'm going to do for my community and my people."
Yeah.
Thank you. And two, before we leave, I want you to drop a word of wisdom for either somebody in prison, out prison, somebody old, young, it doesn't matter, but something that people can gather on and use it. Give me some.
Okay. First thing and foremost is you can't survive on negativity.
Mm.
That's the first thing. And what I mean by that is whatever wrong somebody has done to you, whatever you feel slighted about, you gotta let it go. You have to get over these things that's holding you back because that's all the negative perspective is doing for you. It's saying, I'm not where I want to be because of mama. I'm not where I want to be because of daddy. I'm not the person that I want to be because old girl did this. Old boy left me for this. You got to put that to the side. You got to accept the challenges based upon the decisions and choices that you've made in life. Nobody, no, it's not your fault. Let me just say that. Sometimes we're born into a situation and it's not your fault. But guess what? It's going to be your fault if you don't get out.
Mm.
It's no fault you got into the situation, but it's your fault if you don't get out of the situation. Nobody really cares. Nobody really has the sympathy and empathy that you're looking for. You got to look within because you have what it takes. But you have to have a realistic mindset and a realistic approach. You have to just know 100% that you can do it. And just like the judge told me at sentencing, you got to own up to the crimes and the decisions that you made. And I owned it. So now that I'm doing better for my life and I went on this journey of bettering myself and putting the work and the time in, I'm going to own that just like I own the negative.
Look, I love you, man. This is Forward Progress. My name Carlos Walker. This is Mr. Ed Hennings. Blessings.
Luke.